because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Hello and welcome to Raw, the Fight Within podcast with me, Kugan Cassius. This week, delighted to have the very first footballer on Raw.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
In 40-odd episodes, you are the first footballer.
Oh, nice.
Mr. Troy DEENEY.
How are we, sir?
I'm all good. How are you?
Life's good, man. Can't complain. Enjoying the sun. It's boiling, isn't it? I did say I was doing no more interviews, and then you asked, and I can't say no to you. This has been, what, nearly a 15-year friendship? Since AJ, bro? 10-year friendship.
About 10 years, 11 years. I always think sometimes, like, when you're at fights, and I know, like, that's your bit of socialising, as well as obviously you coming in there to support whichever fight, AJ or whoever. And I'm always like, I know you can see me coming over thinking, don't ask me for an interview. Don't ask me for an interview. Don't ask me for an interview. And I'm like,
I think we really did. We did like 2 or 3, didn't we? It all went down well. All went down well. Yeah. I think as well. I appreciate just how difficult it is for you, because it's like you want to watch the fight because you're enjoying it, but these are the moments that everyone wants to hear about and talk about. So, congratulations, man. I'm in the grateful space of life at the moment. I'm grateful for things. Congratulations, because your channel is fucking sick.
No, I appreciate.
Can I swear on this, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
You say what you
want.
Yeah,
it's sick, man. Like, from you and Eddie driving up in the cars to see that you're cool and all these different venues to what you're doing now, to like a full staff and that. Fair play to you, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate your words. I always find it funny with, like, when footballers are at boxing events, because you guys are kind of from, like, I'm assuming certain club restrictions kind of gagged a little bit about what, you can talk about. Because I remember about a year ago, Declan Rice was a Joshua fight. I think it was the Usyk loss with Mason Mount. And, like, I've gone up to Declan. I know, like, literally they don't really want to do it, but I don't really kind of sway it towards football. So they kind of keep on the boxing, and that's agreed and all that. But, like, Saka was at a fight recently.
The last AJ one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Saka was there, and I was like, I didn't even ask Saka. I got someone from Action to go and ask Saka, and he was like, no, you ain't doing it. I was like, all right, no problem. I'm glad he said no to them, not to me.
So it would have hurt your feelings.
It was all good, yeah, absolutely.
But do you know what it is with boxing and football? We want to be like, I think in football, for me to play well, or like for a striker to play well, or I'm reliant on somebody else. I think in boxing, I think why you see a lot of footballers like boxing, like tennis, like golf, is because it's individual. They know if they do the work and if they do it right, that's the end result.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the comparison comes into it. That's why we're like fascinated by it.
Yeah, and also as footballers, if you it doesn't go well for you one Saturday, you might have a Tuesday or Wednesday at the earliest to put that result right, or etc. Where boxers sometimes have 6 months of losing a fight, that kind of abuse they might get, and the criticism they might get.
Even a year if they get injured. Exactly. Some people, So, like, it's mental. I was with, I'm going to name drop a little bit here. Sorry, I was with John Ryder the other day.
Yeah.
I went to John Ryder, Billy Joe, at a copper box.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
2012.
I was there at that fight, and like just as like not supporting anyone, just loving boxing, and I met him. Obviously, this is a couple of weeks after the Canelo fight.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh mate, you're a ledge. And he's like, how do you know me? He's kind of coming off that kind of vibe, and vice versa. Like, it's good. I think you know what I like as well with boxers. There's no bullshit, man. They're on a level. Yes, they've got an ego. Everyone's got an ego. You've got an ego to do what you do, and you have to have it. But it's on a level when you can speak to them about graft, about life. And obviously, John had his daughter, and I had my daughter there, and they cracked on, and it was good fun, man. It's just good to see, and I like now that I think we're starting to appreciate that you can lose and still come out of it with a reputation. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we take it a little bit out of the UFC, and I think the UFC fighters, if they lose, it's like, okay, well, they're going to fight again, and it'll be a good fight. I think in boxing, Mayweather made it very much like 50-0. Everyone was like, oh, the O. But now people are losing, and it's like, all right, but you're having good fights, so at least we're getting to see some good fights.
No, absolutely. I think, this is a common thing in boxing. It's becoming less and less that kind of the pressure around an undefeated record because, again, you can build if you're half sensible around your matchmaking, you can build your record up to be 20-0, 25-0 without actually competing at a level that you're meant to be competing at. So I think the emphasis on that is, there's very few undefeated boxers in this country currently. I mean, Tyson Fury obviously sits there, but we've seen with Anthony Joshua, who's now suffered 3 losses, but he's going to be in a big fight against Deontay Wilder at the end of the year, probably. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't mean it's the end all for you to lose your own. So, yeah.
3 losses.
Usyk twice, Andy Ruiz.
Forgot about that, yeah. I was just thinking, I was meant to be at that as well. That was in New York. Yeah.
That was his first loss.
Yeah.
That was
No,
4
because he
years
rectified
ago.
it. I kind of just went, yeah. So, 3. Yeah,
Obviously
you're
put it
right, you're right. Sorry, I should never talk about boxing knowledge with you. I apologise.
Mate, it ain't going to be far off, I'm telling you that now. What was your first ever memory of boxing? Just as a kid watching fights, what was your first ever memory?
Frank Bruno, Mike Tyson. What was that, 93, 92, 93?
Around that time?
Yeah, around that time. It was on ITV. My dad was a massive Tyson fan, as most people were from that generation. Got to stay up and watch it. I remember my dad allowed me to stay up and watch it. And then I remember as well, randomly, Terminator was on afterwards. And that's the first time I've ever been allowed to watch a movie with like swearing and stuff like that.
The original Terminator 1?
Yeah. So just that was my original. And then obviously I've got a picture, I posted a few weeks back. My dad ended up meeting Marvin Hagler when he came to Birmingham. And like Marvin Hagler with the Zulus, it was called, the picture. And then my dad was just always on boxing, man. Nigel Benn, Eubank, Senior, Steve Collins, all those fights. And when we used to be on ITV, it used to be what we consider more accessible. They're my early memories, and I just think boxing's so sick, man. I'm gonna sound like a proper fanboy, but the beauty of being able to stand even closer than we are, I can't hit you, is mental. Do you know what I mean? To somebody's never seen boxers train or never been in a gym or been in a ring, it's like, well, that's what they're supposed to do. But the beauty of that dancing, that spar is wonderful, man. It's wonderful to see.
Do you remember the first actual fight you ever went to?
First fight? I didn't go to a fight for a long, long time. The first fight I went to would have been Cal Brook. AJ was on the undercard when AJ kind of did his UK tour. So it would have been fight 2 or 3. In Sheffield. Yeah, it would have been 2 or 3. Weren't at the big arenas. Cal hadn't got to that point yet. It's probably the one before. I want to say 2013 was probably the first fight I went to. Yeah, and it was that. And then, because obviously as well, like, you'll get this a lot, you'll understand that. How many people think that AJ gives me tickets or a fighter gives me tickets? Like, I've been to every one I paid for.
Do you know what? Can I just clarify your story out without you even knowing what I'm going to say? So when I told, we're using the facilities at Matchroom here. When I told some of the staff today that you were coming, a woman here called Mandy, said to me, do you know what? I love Troy. Troy always pays for his tickets when probably he doesn't have to. That's what she said.
I've never took a free one. And Mandy's always looked after me. Lovely lady. And,
but Mandy said that to me.
I appreciate that. But even just after that, I feel like the respect to that is perfect. That means more than anything. But whenever I've done a boxing event, always paid, always come through the correct channels. Would never want to, you checking this, you good?
I was just checking that.
Would never want to put AJ or Eddie or yourself or whoever I know in a situation where they feel like they have to give me something. It's just like, fights being announced, can I get 2 tickets, 4 tickets, whatever it might be, and obviously send me the payment link and it's done. But yeah, I went on like the AJ tour. So remember when he won the Olympics, I was in jail.
Yeah.
So I missed that part. I watched it on TV, obviously, and then his first fight at the O2, I missed. And then I literally went from fight 2 to the next one I missed after that was Ruiz.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was at all of them. The Dillian White fight was mental. I know they're talking about doing that again, but that was, as an atmosphere, that was world class with it.
The whole thing, I think that was AJ's kind of first take note fight.
Yes.
At that point.
Yeah, he got wobbled, got rocked, and then obviously did what he ended up winning. But just felt like, I always said this, right? My two favourite boxers, UK boxers, and people are going to be like, oh, this is strange people. Tony Bellew and Cal Brook. I just feel like, through watching your videos, and it is through your videos, and watching them fight, it's like, I can relate to those fellas. They're just normal blokes, aren't they, that happen to be fighters, but they love their kids, love their family. And I just, whenever they speak, I'm just like, they've just got my attention. I'm just engrossed in what they're saying, and I've been fortunate enough to meet both of them over the time, and yeah, man, never let me down. They're good people.
We'll adapt this question to you. Well, I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but where do you think, or what do you think you'd be doing profession-wise if you wasn't a footballer?
I wanted to be a firefighter, you know. I wanted to be a fireman. But boxing it's always been there. Like I said, my dad loved it, so we was in and out of the gym from like 8 years old. Like make us go to the local one, and yeah, it was just one of those things that like Louis and the boys at why is that gone on Eastside? They went to my school. Like a lot of the fighters there, like Shaka Bitters and all them, Frenchie, Frankie Gavin, they're all from my area. So like, I've always been around boxing. So I probably would have had a go at it at some point. But I am now, but at the time I don't think I was disciplined enough for boxing. You know, to live the life and make weight and things of that nature. But yeah, probably just dossing, to be honest. If you work for football,
you don't think you would have tried your other hand aside from boxing, but you don't think you would have landed in any other sport as such?
Nah, not really. I don't love it as much. Do you get what I mean? I think you've been around it, but you have to be obsessed with whatever the sport is or the business venture you want to do. So for me, football, I'm obsessed with. Boxing, I'm obsessed with. Like I was just come back from Bali, so I was with the missus, and like got the zone on watching Sonny Edwards fighting, and missus like, why? I'm like, I can't miss a fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you don't know him, he's don't know you. Like, it's not a massive show. Why are you watching it? I'm like, why not? Like, do you get what I mean? Like that I'm just obsessed with boxing and the way it is, and obviously we're doing this obviously at Matchroom, and I was talking to you earlier about like the one after lockdown. It was like, as soon as Eddie said, "Oh, we're doing these in the garden, and this is what you got to do."
Fight camp, yeah.
Fight camp, that was it. I was like, gotta come, man, gotta come. And even Connor, remember, it was Connor Ben's fight, and Connor got injured, or someone got injured.
Yeah, Connor was meant to be on the second one, was it?
Yeah, and it ended up being
injured,
Lee Wood. He ended up being the main guy. So I ended up not knowing who Lee Wood was before that. Yeah. He ends up knocking out, I think, the fella from Asia.
Zucan.
Yeah, and now I'm a Lee Wood fan now.
Yeah.
Like, so I ended up sitting next to his family, and you know how it gets. It's like,
of course.
Oh, mate, he's legend. And then the next 3 fights, you see how that's all played out, and it's world class, man. You just feel like you go on the journey with them, I suppose. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Wood's career really took off properly after that night here at Fight Camp, where he's gone on, obviously.
You had a few sherbets that night, didn't you? If you remember.
I don't think I did that night. Well, it's like a party. I said to Eddie, like, this is a couple of years ago, by the way, this wasn't the other day, but I said to Eddie, like, mate, there's like a free bar, there's like all these like food places around there, the boxing's on. Mate. It felt like a party with the boxing on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I am with you, yeah. I do remember the camera was put down very early that night, if I remember.
No, we keep working, mate, we keep working. I have no idea what Troy did. Troy, talk to me about a time in your life where you felt like you were fighting a losing battle.
Mate, that's daily, you know. Honestly, daily. Like, we live in a world now, mate, where everyone's got an opinion. You know, like, we could do this interview, some will say it's good, some will say it's bad. But everyone's got an opinion on it. And then they start arguing with each other about their opinions. And it's like, well, if you try and please every single person, you're going to lose yourself, ain't you? Like, and that's was talking to a friend of mine on the way down on the train earlier, and he's not into any sports. It was just one of my older lot who just wise guy. Do you know what I mean? And he said to me, he said, Troy, if you have to argue with someone who pays for a blue tick, how can they verify you if they need to pay to be verified? And it made me understand it. And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right, you know. Because most of this online stuff, it genuinely don't bother me. I'm similar to you. I'm not really on it that much. It doesn't take up that much of my day. But in general, it's like, I see how it wears people down. And people want you to fall into this social construct now of like, be this way, say this, do that. But we want you to be real, but don't be too real because we'll cancel you. Do you get what I mean? It's like a really...
It's almost controlled
It
in
is.
a certain way.
Yeah, it is.
You can say this and you can say that.
But don't you dare talk about that.
You can't talk about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. You're
Give
100% right.
me your opinion, but don't give me all of your opinion. Just give me enough that I could use. And it's like... And everyone's out for self-gain as well. And let's call it as it is. Like, you're around not just athletes, but business. Everyone now is after a pound now. Everyone's after to make themselves like famous for a week or 2 weeks. It's like, is it worth it? So that's honestly just to answer your question. That's what it's for. It's daily because it's like trying not to fall into the bullshit of life of this new life.
Yeah, I mean, with you, I can, because I thought about this actually when I was messaging you, and I thought, because obviously I've known you for a long time, and our fans are not at Arsenal, don't like you basically, and like, I remember there was a time where I think you got sent off at Emirates, and I was there, and everyone was going mad and cheering, etc., and I was like, Troy's all right. I was thinking Troy's all right.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Because I know you, it's different. If I didn't know you and I was just going from, say, your social media or kind of your persona within just...
Yeah, of
you
course.
know,
It's the presentation, isn't it?
Exactly. But I've always, like, you know, whenever I've had conversations about you, my mindset's completely different, where I go, no, actually, Troy's all right, because I know Troy, but it's different.
But that's the danger of the world we live in now, and people want to go off the presentation more than the person. But if I gave you all of me, like who I am, what I do, blah blah blah, the strong point about it is you're probably going to like me. There's a strong possibility you'll like me. There'll be another part of people that absolutely hate me. But then what do I have for me and my family?
Yeah.
If I'm giving 1 million people, whoever they are, all of me, well, my kids don't get all of me then. You can't do you know what I mean? You can't give all of you to everybody. And I just operate on respect, mate, honestly. Do you remember, this is randomly, remember you was at a Watford game, you and Shannon?
Yeah.
And like sorted out tickets, blah, blah, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do that regularly, even if I'm not at Watford, or even if, you know, a friend of mine might go, I know it's a big ass, my kid's a Man United fan, can you get me a shirt? A couple of phone calls, it's done. But if you post that all the time, what are you doing it for? Do you get what I mean?
Of course.
It's like you're doing it for everybody else. But now, if you don't tell everyone you've done it, you've not done it.
It's mad.
It's a bit. Do you get what I mean?
True. It's so
a mental
mad.
world.
It is so mad because, actually, I don't know if you watch. Do you watch Friends? Have you ever watched Friends?
My missus loves it. Fucking can't stand it.
Well, anyway, it was
go on.
in
Most
reference to
overrated show, but that's another thing.
It's not overrated. Please don't get into that. It's
Come on.
unbelievable. So I'm with your missus on that one.
Yeah.
But the point is, there was an episode on there, and the relevance around it is about there's no such thing as a selfless deed, selfless good deed. So it's like, okay, so everything you do, right, if it makes you feel good about doing that, that is not, like, you're doing it for the benefit of making you feel good. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you walk past someone who was homeless on the street and no cameras about, if you're giving that person money, for example, I'm just pulling this example out there. If you're giving that person money, right, you're going to go away with a little bit of self-satisfaction that you've done something good for the day.
Yeah.
Now, it's impossible to actually do that without feeling that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
But they're taking us to like a whole new level. It's like people do things, especially for social media, but almost it's a case of, well, if I don't tell people I'm doing it, then have I really even done it?
Exactly, and that's fundamentally where I struggle in life. As you know, mate, in this game, agents, managers, PR, social media, all of that. Troy, got to post more. Bloody hell, can you do this? Can you do that? Why? I don't, like, not only I don't want to, but if I have to go, I'm doing this with Cougar. Perfect example. How many people would pull up today at Matchroom and have already took a selfie and posted it on Insta story saying, with Cougar today? Do you get what I mean?
After this podcast, I was going to actually take a picture of me and you, but
No,
now I don't know if
but my
I'm
point
only
is,
joking.
when people want to do it, it's like they're doing the act to let everybody know where they are before they've even done the situation. We could have come in and it could be awful and we have an argument or whatever. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no one knows what the outcome's going to be, but just got to let everyone know, while you lot are at work, I'm with the big dogs. Do you get what I mean? It's like, fuck off, mate. Honestly, like, fuck off. There's somebody who, and I say this to my kids all the time, being grateful for what you have and where you're at is massive. There's a male or female somewhere that is literally living in a 1-bedroom flat and he's got a job and he's the happiest person we've ever come across. You don't know who they are, what they are, but that's their version of success, because you don't know what their front story was like. Do you get what I mean? They could have been homeless, could have had things happen as a kid, whatever. But we now in this social media world, it's like, well, what watch is he wearing? What t-shirt is he wearing? What's his house like? What? Oh, he's got the last season trainers on. Oh, he ain't got no money. It's like, fucking hell, man.
Keeping up appearances.
Where's the substance? Where's the substance? And that like, it drives me, man. Especially with my kids, it drives me. Like, have some fucking substance.
Do you know, I was at the Tyson Fury Wilder fight, the first one, the one that was given a draw in LA, and I was with the Team Fury quite a bit that week. And there was one night, and Tyson Fury was out, and he come across like a homeless guy on the street, and who had no shoes on. So there's no record of this. I know because I was there.
Yeah.
Took his shoes off, his trainers off, and gave them to the guy. Said, you can't walk around basically with nothing on your feet. Now,
Sledge.
I then brought that up in an interview because I thought, not that I know it happened, and it's not a case of, oh, look at what Tyson's doing, or I just thought that kind of story that just went completely under the radar because there wasn't 50 million cameras filming it.
Yeah.
But also I felt it was a need to like just put that out. Troy, if you'd done that or someone else had done that, it'd have been the same effect. I just think that's a nice thing that without, like I said, but the case it wasn't like loads of people with their phones out filming it.
I've never met Tyson or his family, but do you know what I can do? And I give you credit for this, because a lot of those, especially those times when you go off like the week before and you interviewed his brother Shane.
Yeah.
I think never met the geezer, but love to have a beer with him. Yeah. You know, like just seems switched on, no bollocks, just a straightforward person. That's kind of the person I can relate to. But what I love when I watch content differently, I would say, than the average viewer. I don't really look at the interview. I'm like, well, why is he sitting down with Coogan? There's got to be respect there, first and foremost. Also, you know those little ones you used to do, like, I don't know, his brother might be in the jacuzzi or whatever it might be. That comfortability and that is respect. So I look at it and go, oh man, that's the level of journalist, if I want to do journalism, that I need to get to. It's not about the content you're putting out, it's about the relationships you're building. So now the content will come from it anyway, because you're getting stuff that people can never get. Yeah.
I mean, look, from what you just said there, that's always been my approach to doing what I'm doing. It's never been about what is perceived as this hard-hitting journalism for me to go there and kind of probe and almost piss people off, which is what people want to see. And in certain situations, I suppose that's needed to a certain degree, but it's always been about almost like the camera ain't now.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It's just me and you chat.
It's just me and you chat, where personality, just the way they are, that comfortability factor, that's all being shown rather than, again, something. I've never called myself a journalist, never ever.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't even mean to call you a journalist, but I think you understood.
Technically, am I a journalist? I never call myself
I'd say you are a journalist, and the reason I would say you are a journalist is because, mate, the amount of times you see news clippings and Talksport, all these different people referencing you have to be, or referencing IFL, you have to be considered a journalist because you're giving our mainstream media more. You're getting more than them, and you're giving them the stories.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You get
I
me?
just think in what the views are of a conventional journalist,
Of course.
I probably don't tick those
Mate, you're sat
boxes.
here in shorts for a start. You know what I mean? Let's
I'm
call it
sure
right.
being here in a sweatbox here in the middle of Essex.
Mate,
but
if this was, I don't know, the Sun or a Daily Mail, the geezer would still be in a shirt and tie, absolutely sweating his beak
I
off.
knew I can come here dressed in shorts. You'd think I was more of a weirdo if I rocked up here with a shirt,
Oh yeah, I'd be like, what are we doing?
cargo pants. What are you talked about kind of what you perceive to, fighting a losing battle, but for you, outside of anything to do with football,
Yeah.
what are the everyday battles for Troy Deeney?
Kids, mate.
Yeah.
Trying to be like you're a parent, you understand it. I've got 4 fucking up daily. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's so this is like a thing I always say. I've said it a few times, so I apologise. But you look at our parents. They're never like no one's really having their kids in their 40s and 50s. You know, like when you've lived a life and travelled and whatever. Like I look at my mum. My mum had me at 18, just before she was 19, and love my mum to death. But when I think back now through life, I was expecting this 20-year-old to teach me how to live, and then I'm expecting this 30-year-old to teach me how to live when all she was trying to do was figure it out herself.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So me and my mum have these wonderful conversations all the time. Like when I go over there, it's just like she's like, "How are you getting on?" I'm like, did this and this with Miles. My oldest is 14. He's getting that teenager, like he knows it all kind of crack. And I'm like, was I like that, Mum? She's like, you're 10 times worse. But this is how I did it, and I'm still learning, and I'm still. But in that moment, when he might speak to me like he's talking to one of his mates, and you end up raising your voice and going back and forth with him, you're like, shit, that's a fuck up there. And my kids are the biggest thing. I think, without getting too deep into it, I think the world is creating softer and dumber people. There's another way to say it. Yeah, just dumber people. You want to find an answer out there, just go to Google. You want to drive from here to Birmingham, just go to Google Maps.
Too accessible?
It's too
making
accessible.
people too lazy?
Yeah, and also it's all at hand, isn't it? You look at it all with like the AI stuff, and now, and some of it is great and some of it's scary, but it's like I would hate to have given my kids a position of privilege. Perfect example, Eddie. Eddie's the perfect example of it. And I say it to him all the time, and people might think I'm licking his ass. I don't really give a shit, but I just say it as it is. He had every opportunity to just kick back and do fuck all. His dad's the governor, made loads of dough, ruined this house that was there, a house before. It fucking took us 15 minutes to find a room. It's massive. But do you get what I mean? He could have easily chilled out. I would hate for my kids to go, my dad did this and my dad's done that. And then they're sat in their room at 16, 17, 18, like not looking to do anything. Get out in the world, figure it out. You got a head start. Go and do stuff. And I just think we're creating more of these. There's genuinely people out there. Think about this. We're old. I'm going to sound old as fuck. Think about this. There's genuinely kids and teenagers now going, I want to go on Love Island and I want to be a YouTuber. Now, don't get me wrong, that's fine to each of their own, but that is now a job set, like a skill set that people are looking at more than, I want to finish school with some grades, I want to have a trade behind me. I know that's very old school or whatever, but at least have something substantial behind you, do you know what I mean? I just think I just think the world's going a bit soft, mate. So my kids on a daily basis, my anger as well, is the biggest one. Because deep down I'm an angry little fucker, to be totally honest with you. And yeah, just trying to be a new version of me. Well, you've met my new missus. She's, wherever I go now, she's with me, as you've seen on numerous occasions, because she's able to centre me. But, a lot of these, we've talked about a few premieres and things like that. A lot of those ones, it'd be very easy for me to, slip back into my old way, shall we say, with some of the people that are there and how they act. So yeah, anger and kids, mate, are the two.
Would you call yourself an emotional person? Like, when's the last time you were having to fight back any tears?
Fucking hell, you caught me on a good week, man. I wouldn't normally say I'm an emotional person. And so 2 weeks ago was my dad's anniversary of passing away, and it's always like the week before, the week after, I'm a bit, up and down, a bit all over the place. But this year was strange. I didn't really feel anything this year. It was a bit numb. And then, mate, I'm watching Creed 2? I think it's Creed 2 on the plane coming back from Bali. And you know where Michael B. Jordan takes his daughter to the gravestone, right at the end of it? Mate, fucking, I don't know what came over me. I was just like, whoa. And I'm on a plane, like, taking the deep breath of that. Like, I was ready to go. Don't ask me why. I haven't really figured that out. But I think it was just a similarity, really, like, realising my dad and saw 3 of my kids. Do you know what I mean? And my dad looked like my brother's, my niece, she's what? Katie's 10 now. So when she was born, 4 days before my dad died. So he got told in the hospital, and it was like his face where it was beaming. We had a little girl in the family. Do you get what I mean? He loved my sister, and my sister was his favourite. And then it's just like, I don't know, it just must have resonated 1 and 2, but the back of my mind must have just kicked in, and I was like, shit, man, he would have loved both the girls, and my boys would have had granddad. Do you get what I mean? It's just little. I think when you're older, you understand that things we took for granted very early on. Like my kids only have, on my side, they've got my mum and my nan. Everybody else is dead. Do you know what I mean? From an older generational point to talk to. So just hit back. But literally, this was what, Sunday, so a couple of days ago.
Wow.
It just hit me. It was like, oh fuck. And then I literally got back Sunday afternoon, went straight to the grave and cleaned it up and had a chat with the old boy and figured it out.
Sorry. But no, it's just you get older. It's almost like, even though you haven't been through everything, but it's like if there's a tunnel, it's like it's getting smaller, like with everything, isn't it?
Definitely.
Like when you're young, that tunnel was like endless, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as you get older, it's like everything started happening, like family members and just life in general, just experiences. Just
I spoke to someone again. All my friends are older than me. I spoke to a mate the other day, and he hit me with something. He said, "I was like, how you finding it?" He's like 41. I said, "How you finding it?" He said, "You know what? Honestly, bro, like I love it because to make it to 40 was from their lifestyle was obviously a good achievement." But he's like, "I'm going to more funerals now than I'm going to parties." And you're like, "Fuck." Do you get what I mean? And that's the reality of it. In our 20s, it was a party every other weekend, wasn't it? Or 2 or 3 in a week. But now it's like, I don't know. It just puts me in a space of thinking like, mate, what are we leaving behind? That's probably where what's the nuggets and the gems that the kids can go.
absolutely.
This is what our family, the DEENEY name, stands upon. I suppose is what I'm trying to get at.
Would you say in your life, or if you are now, have ever had to fight demons?
Yeah, I had a drinking problem. Should I say? Yeah. So, fucking hell. My new missus was the one who was like, "Nah, mate, this is too much." So from the age of like, I was going through a bad spell when I got locked up. That was like I was drinking heavy then, but that, in hindsight, was just like a mechanism to just like push it all down and suppress it and that. But I think from like 23 to 30, there weren't a weekend I weren't bad at. And I'm not talking like a Saturday night. I'm talking like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, possibly a Tuesday in there as well. Like 3-4 days out of the week, like absolutely smashed, mate. Bottle of Hennessy, bottle of brandy, easy. Sometimes a bottle of Hennessy. Remember the old blue drink, Hypnotic? I don't know if they still sell it anymore.
Yeah.
That used to be my mixer for brandies. So it'd be a brandy with a Hypnotic, and then just drink it, Incredible Hulk, and I named it.
That drink sounds horrendous, that mix, sorry.
Yeah, now I'd throw up, mate. But you just become I don't know, accustomed to it. And then got into kept getting into scrapes all the time, mate. Like obviously all of them haven't come out, obviously, but at least 2 or 3 times a month. It's always an issue. Maybe not always ending in physical, but got into an argument with this fella, now he wants to do something. Got in an argument with that. Do you know what I mean? It was always something.
At what age was this?
Up until like 30, mate.
Yeah.
Literally up until I was 30. And then left my ex-missus on my 30th birthday. So that's it, I'm done. Kind of just like, at that moment, mate, looking at myself in the mirror, like, I ain't happy with this fella. Like, I'm at Watford, I'm captain, I'm playing in the Prem, I'm earning really good money, and I'm miserable, mate. I'm fucking proper miserable. Like, this ain't no one else's fault, I'm not blaming anyone, it's all self-inflicted, but this ain't what it's supposed to be. Do you know, you ever had that moment when it's like, this ain't what it's supposed to be, is it? Like, I thought once you cracked it and you got the house and the cars and the kids, it was meant to be sweet, isn't it? And I just found like everything was just worse. So I left on my 30th birthday and then met my new missus shortly after. And I took her out a few times and she was just like, why do you always drink? I was like, what do you mean? So, like, we go out for a bite to eat, you have like 5 drinks. And I'm a quick drinker as well. Like, I'm not a sipper, but I'm a necker. And she was like, she don't drink at all. She can have a few, but she's just like, I don't drink. She doesn't see the appeal to it. And then we went to a christening, and like everywhere in my family, Irish background, christening's a piss up. She was like, why is everyone like? She just couldn't wrap her head around it. And when she said it to me, it's like, it just made me think like, fucking hell. She's like, you got a drink problem? I remember the moment it came back. When my son was born, my youngest son, he had a hole in his heart and like breathing difficulties. It was just before COVID happened. And I come out in London, I come down on the day with all my lads from home. We went like Libs and all the normal places, went there. And she phoned me and it was like 4 in the morning. And I picked up. I'm like, you're right. And she's like, he can't breathe. He's puking up. He's like, I phoned the doctor, they said get him to the hospital. But I took the car keys with me, and in my, because I had some, we had 2 cars at the time. I had one car that had my stuff in from the night before, so I went out, you know as you do, go outside, take the keys, well, put it in that one. And then in my other car, my pal was driving, I ended up taking both sets of keys. And she was like, but I didn't notice in time, but I'm slurring, I'm not making sense to her. I'm hearing everything she's saying, but I'm not making any sense back. And then when I got back, it was about 5:30, 6 in the morning. She's obviously gone and took him straight to the hospital, sorted it out. And she just come back at like, I think it was about 2 in the afternoon. She was like, this ain't for me. Like, your son was in a real difficult situation and you're having a piss up. So I don't mind you going out and that, but surely I should be able to call you at any time. If it's a serious situation and you've got your wits about you to be like, all right, I'm on my way back. And that was it. I was 31 then. I'm 35 next week.
So you're not talking about a huge amount of time ago at all.
And also, I've had blips. You know, there'll be people, I saw him pissed at this. I've had blips along the way. I'm definitely not completely fixed, but now I'm in more control. I can have 2 and that's it.
I always find it interesting when people, you said your neck drinks, because you know people that will like a few days of the week have a glass of wine with dinner, right? But
never drank in the house, mate.
Never.
I've never had a drink in the house.
But you drink to get drunk. Does that make sense? Like, what's the sense in a couple of drinks for you if it's not fulfilling that part of your
is it
your
the
need?
Liam Gallagher one, innit? Let's come to the pub and have one. Like, no one's going for one. We're going for 10, aren't we? No, I think it's for me, honestly, but I think it's a case of I was drinking to suppress loads of things I didn't really want to deal with. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I don't. If I don't understand something or someone, it drives me into a weird place. Like, even if me and you didn't get on, like, we hate each other. But if I can understand why you dislike me, I'm all right with that. If you just don't like me, what did I do wrong? And why is he saying that? And it drives me into these mad spirals.
Yeah, but how does that work with you on the football pitch then? Because you've got
No, I'm on about in life, like
in life,
family,
you're not
like
talking about
close-
like
Nah,
opposition crowd and
who gives a fuck about
Yeah.
them, mate? Do you know what I mean? That's their job, and who gives a fuck about the geezer on Twitter and so whatever. I'm on
Right.
about in my family, in my group friends. Like if we fell out over something,
Yeah, okay.
and I can't understand why, or I don't even know why, but we fell out.
yeah.
It will drive me mad. But the biggest reason when I started drinking, because I never actually had a drink until I was 18. Never had a drink before that. I got bladdered on my 18th birthday, and that's a whole other podcast for itself. And then it just kind of, all right, first it's socially, let's try and fit in, because all the lads meet at the pub, so I better start drinking. And then everyone goes out, okay, I better start drinking. And before you know it, so it's like that fear of missing out that you end up drinking more. And then, yeah, like a lot of it was to bury it, mate. You know when I'm drunk, I've never said this, so you're getting an exclusive. You know when I'm drunk, I'm not Troy Deeney when I'm drunk. And it's fucking lovely. Do you get what I mean? You know, like, to a lot of people, you're Kugan Cassius or you're the IFL guy, whatever their term is. But when you go around, like for me, when I go around my mum and my family and that, I'm just Troy. I'm just, no one talks football, no one talks money, no one gives a shit. But when I drink, it's a really, especially when I'm out, because to the masses of like people that are in that nightclub or whatever, oh, that's Troy Deeney over there. And then I'm trying to put the block up of like, I don't want to be that, I'm out. And then to my pals, sometimes, we spoke about, they sometimes slipped into it like, oh, we're out with Troy. Like, look how well Troy's done from the area. Like, do you get what I mean? Like, I can't believe we're in Hakkasan, wherever it might be. And sometimes I'll sit and I'll watch it and I'm just like, give me a drink. And I could just drink and then I forget about everything. And there's been so many nights out when the lads have gone to me, oh, it was a great night, this. Couldn't tell you what happened. Couldn't think about I can't even pinpoint this happened or that happened. It's just, let me just get away from it all.
When's the last blip you had? You don't have to answer.
No, about 18 months ago.
Okay.
18 months ago, yeah. But like I say, like I'll have the odd drink here and there. Mate, the last proper drink I had, right, and this is how sad it's got now. Well, good in a way, but sad. When I saw you.
Not at Elton John.
No, not Elton John. I didn't drink then because I was with my mum and my nan and that. I didn't drink then. Yeah, mate, that was a random.
That was
drink,
a random
but
one,
we'll leave that one alone. No, it was at a premiere at the Odeon. I forget who it was or what it was for. But anyway,
Was it? It wasn't Dave Chappelle, was it?
No, it weren't Dave. It was the one after.
Was it a film?
It was definitely a film. But anyway, I saw you there. I was there, and you was like, "Let's have a drink." I saw you in what, 6-7 months. Yeah, I'll have 2 drinks with you, and that's it.
Whose film was it? It's got to do my head in there.
I can't remember. It was at the Piccadilly Circus, wasn't it?
Like I was with my missus at the time there because I wasn't filming or anything.
It was just that's what I mean. It was like
I was there,
just,
but what was it?
I can't remember. We were just out and about, weren't we? And it was just like that's what I mean. It was
Was it
just
a documentary about anything? Was it?
fuck knows, mate. It's gone. Yeah, it was just nice to see you. Do you know what I mean? Oh, you were in there a little bit earlier than me. You was like, yeah, let's have a drink. Yeah, let's have a drink, and that was it. Do you know what? It might have been a Dave Chappelle one actually. It was a Dave Chappelle documentary.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. That was the last time I had a proper drink, and that was 2.
Was.
Go on, ask whatever you want, mate.
No, I'm trying to think whether it was that night, but I'm pretty certain that's the last event kind of thing that I went to, and that was well over a year ago.
Yeah.
Longer than that ago.
That's what I mean, like 18 months ago.
Yeah.
But like now, like, and what I mean by that is, I was in the mood that night. Like, if you would have went, you and your miss at the time, me and Mike, if you would have said like, let's go get a bite to eat,
Yeah.
we're out. Do you get what I mean? That's the mindset more than going out for dinner with friends or going out and catching up with friends, have a couple. Like that mindset, I think it's the mindset more than the actual drinking.
Was Kano there?
Yeah, Kane was there. Yeah.
That's it. That was that then.
Yeah.
Kano was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, even Kane's. I went to Kano's event. I have to give him credit. Man. The guy's a fucking legend, man, a genius. But I went to Kano's event with the CP company, and obviously he's got the drink as well in it. And my missus like, you know, she kind of gave me the pass. Like, go on, we got a car. like someone's gonna drive us, but have a few sherbets. And I was like, nah, just don't get that buzz anymore. I think I've probably grown up a little bit, mate, and it's getting weird, isn't it?
Has football caused any spates of depression in your life? Football specifically?
Nah, can't do. It's a game, mate.
Can it not?
I'm just talking for myself. Of course it can. Everyone's got their own mental demons they're dealing with, and everyone has a level of threshold that they can take. For me, it can't cause depression because I've had a life before this. Do you get what I mean? I wasn't like I was in the youth team from the age of 6 all the way through, and football was everything. And now I'm injured, and oh my God, like okay, I'm injured. It's shit. Don't like it, but I'll figure it out. And so no is the answer to that. I just think quite good at compartmentalising it and understanding that's my job. That's an element of me that is, sometimes I do well, sometimes I do bad, but it's just a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I speak to a lot of people that have gone through that, which is more apparent in boxing, not spoken about as much. You get fighters like Tyson Fury that does talk about it quite often, more so than other people. But I think that stigma attached to alpha male stereotype boxers talking about that kind of thing.
I think it's different though. Sorry to interrupt you. I think it's different because the boxer, as we touched on earlier, has 6 months in between. Yeah. And also, I think a lot of the boxers are in it from young, as I was just talking about. They've done all the amateurs, they've done the setups, they've gone all around the world, and boxing's what they're going to be. Everyone's told them that's it, and they've only ever been associated with boxing. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. I think I think it was Carl Froch who spoke about it. When he came away from boxing, now it's like, well, who are you? Maybe Carl may have got it wrong. I apologise if I do. But once you come away from that, to a lot of people, you're just that person from before. Yeah. I have it a bit now. Like I dropped to Birmingham. Like I dropped down to Birmingham in the championship, and to a lot of people, it's like, you still play. That's how they are. That's how they see it. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm to the Blues. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Do you get what I mean? And I just think it's like I'm all right when football's done. I'm all right with it being done. Do you know what I mean? I think everything has a shelf life. I've got other things that I can do, and then I'll dive, balls deep into that and figure that out. But while football's still an option, I can still play. I'm going to keep doing it to the best of my ability.
I think in both sports, I think it's a lot of people kind of go down the whole punditry route. Yeah. Boxers as well as footballers may go into like a training role.
Why don't they? Why isn't there more doing coaching?
There is, but I suppose. I
mean, Jamie Moore is a perfect example.
Yeah, Jamie Moore, very successful, training a dozen fighters, probably not a dozen, but maybe 7 or 8 fighters. Kevin Mitchell's another one. Kevin Mitchell's got a few fighters in the gym, not to probably the profile of what Jamie has, but when they slip into that role, which is almost like a natural progression, that's what their role is, and they still kind of feel like their relevance is in boxing because they're still in it. But
do you think that they could? It's probably a question for them, really, and I'm probably talking out of turn, but I see someone like Cal Brook, and obviously he had the issue recently or last year or so. Obviously he's known for boxing. I suppose it's got to be really hard. Obviously he beat Khan, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's great now. Take your money and go." Yeah. But I suppose it's really difficult to then. Well, I can't go out and win because obviously I'm still decent. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. Like you've won, so why would you go out and that? But I think what I'm asking is surely him diving into a gym in Sheffield and living vicariously through these kids and mentoring them should give him some form of purpose. Again, I don't know him that well, so I don't want to be disrespectful at all.
I think with everyone, if we look at the fighters that have retired, kind of in our sort of generation over the last sort of 10 years of, you had Carl Froch, who his fight with George Groves was near on 9-10 years ago, right?
Yes.
Retired, never looked back, right?
Yeah.
But Carl Froch has been involved in punditry work, etc., commentating
Guys
work,
on
etc.,
podcasts
etc.
now, yeah.
You look at someone like James DeGale, who in his last fight, with the fight he lost to Chris Eubank Jr., no one's really seen anything of James DeGale from a public perspective. He's around his family and friends, etc. But he's completely moved away from boxing. Like he's got no interest in coming to shows and doing interviews and doing all these things.
But that's what I mean, and that's a bit I'm probably trying to get at in a roundabout ways. Like, met James quite a few times, know a lot of people around him and vice versa. Happy-go-lucky geezer, he loves it. But I feel like he's settled. Like, his time's his time, and this is what I'm going to do. He had an exit strategy. That's the best way to describe it. I feel like, especially in boxing, and again, that's where the punch-drunk thing kind of comes in. People, they're just chasing that thrill. Is there enough support, probably I'm asking, around that exit strategy?
There probably isn't, and I think a lot of people within boxing would, because apart from if you're fortunate enough to go into some sort of training role, like Kevin Mitchell, like we mentioned, or you go into a punditry role like Tony Bellew, obviously does stuff with his own, Darren Barker. These guys, former world champions, have got into that, and that's kind of their future now. But there's a lot of fighters, once they retire, there isn't any kind of plan to what they're doing unless they've been lucky enough to invest their money, whatever money they've made, in some sort of other ventures. But there isn't enough done for people when they come out of boxing. And also, what about boxers that really have to retire before, through injuries or, situations? The bleed on the brain has stopped a lot of people from getting re-licensed, etc., etc. So I think there isn't. I mean, we've got a good board here in terms of health and safety, but I think there could be more done. I think that's not really up for argument. There could be more done to kind of guide people when they've actually finished their boxing career.
Whose responsibility is probably the word I'm going to use. Is it to push that then?
To be honest with you, it's to do with everyone. It's to do with the promoters, the people at the top end of the sport. Really have got to, have some sort of, and they've got to do it collectively and work together doing it. You can't have one promoter that wants to do it certainly for his fighters, and then if that was the case. But the board, the promoters, the high end people who are licensed by the board. These guys really have. If anyone's going to have the power, I'm not saying they have the power to do it, but if anyone's going to have the power, it's going to be people at the top end of it.
No, I hear that. Yeah.
All right, just a couple more before we end, Troy, and I do appreciate it. This has been really good, actually, listening to you talk about all this. So you fight for your family, your missus, your kids. Who fights for you? Who's in Troy Deeney's corner, like, of life? Who can you rely on? Who can you count on?
I suppose like everyone, there's not a great deal, is there, in that regard that you can 100% put your life on it. I've got, the missus is there. I've got best mate, Disc. You've probably seen him at loads of events with me. Known him, we're going on 20 years, and just as much as he would get out of his bed for me, I'd get out of my bed for him at any time. My brother, my oldest brother, and then I got, a couple of others, who are around. It's about 6 people really in general, not too many. But it's a good. I don't think you want too many. Do you know what I mean? If you had 20 people that loved you and did that, I'd probably question if they really do. Do you know what I mean? And if there's definitely never been any arguments, like there's arguments all the time between me and my close circle, just because we are too honest with each other. Sometimes you don't want to hear it, and sometimes they don't want to hear it. But the honesty and keeping everyone accountable for what they say and do is the reason we've been able to have these friendships for so long.
There's an actor from, I can't remember his name. He's in loads of this. He was in Sopranos. He was in Goodfellas. But there's a podcast he's on, and I can't think of his name, someone will drop it in the comments, but he basically says, like, you don't need, like, 15, 20 people. You need 3 bad motherfuckers
Oh,
around
Joey
you.
Diaz.
Yes.
Yeah. Joey's sick. Yeah, but that's it.
That's
You
it.
can take on the world. Of course you can.
Yeah.
But I always say this, so like I said, my best friend Disc, like, he's always with me. I said we've said on numerous occasions, I would prefer to go into a fight, me and him versus 10, than 10 versus 10.
Yeah.
Because I know he ain't running, he knows I ain't running. And that's not to be bad.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah, no,
that
yeah, yeah.
trust. And that,
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fight was probably
He
the
ain't
wrong
gonna
word,
leave
but
you.
He's not going to leave me.
There you go.
We're both going to be on the deck.
Win or
in a bad
lose,
way.
yeah, as
Of
long as you
course.
don't leave each other, it don't
Yeah,
really,
and
it doesn't matter, but yeah.
And I think I think I use the fight analogy because obviously this is what we're talking about, boxing and life in general. But I just think to have that mutual respect and understanding between two people is is worth its weight in gold. And I'll do anything for him, and I'm sure he'll do anything for me. So, we it's just a special bond. There's not many people you can have that with. I think there's maybe 3 in your whole life that you have that with, maybe 2.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky, yeah.
You're 35, yeah?
Next week, yeah.
Right, so 35. So what if 35-year-old Troy Deeney can go back and talk to a 21-year-old Troy Deeney? What does 35-year-old Troy Deeney say to that 21-year-old?
Do you know what? I'm going to sound... Because remember, this is where all my mistakes happened at the age of 20, 21. So in one breath, I would say, slow down, time, patience, this will all work itself. There's a clip on Instagram that I love. It's like about 5 actors. Tom Hanks is talking. There's about 5 actors around. He talks about it, they ask him a similar question, and he says, "If I knew now, what would you give back?" He says, "This too will pass. Feeling high,
Yeah.
that'll pass." And like goes through all the emotions, and I think that would be something I'd obviously like to take in, because as a younger person, emotionally I was massively out of control, like just all over the place. But flip that and contradicted it. Every mistake I've made has led me to being here, being able to talk to you.
Totally agree with that.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, you change one thing out of your life.
And who knows?
Yeah,
who knows what that comes like?
Yeah.
Do I become the footballer that I was? Do I become the person that I am? Like, you don't know, do you? Like, it's just. I think
they call that the butterfly effect.
Yeah, so I think everything has just shaped who I am, and it worked out pretty well, even though I made all those mistakes. So, I'd probably just say, mate, I got one here. My nan made this for me when I went to jail. She wrote me a poem, and it says, "I fought a good fight. I've finished the course. I've kept the faith, and that fundamentally, sorry, it gets me a little bit choked up because she wrote it for me. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I think that's the truth, isn't it? You've had a good go, kept your faith, and you've stayed the course. Like, that's fundamentally what life's about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And yeah, man. So I don't normally show that one off, but I'm with the big dog, so I've got to step it up, and
Appreciate it. Right, last one. Answer it as however you perceive, really. What drives that fight within Troy Deeney? What is the factors that drive that fight in you, within you as well?
It's a burning question of why not? Why not? For this football gig, for people that don't know me, have not heard the story. Like my younger brother is 31 now. He was the footballer. He was mustard, so much better than me. All of that, and he's one of them people that naturally picks stuff up. Mate, give him that camera, he'll be better than you at it in a day. He's just good at everything.
Yeah.
I am the grafter. I gotta sit and watch you do it. Okay, show me that. Now I need to go away and figure it out. But once I'm shown to it, I can figure it out. But all in all, mate, like this story of who I am was never meant to be. So once I've made it to the Prem and I captained my team to the Premier League, and now it's like all those things we used to watch, watching Match of the Day as a kid, and now I'm going to play at Anfield, and obviously it's the Emirates now, but it was obviously the old Highbury Stadium. And you got Old Trafford and all these fairy tale things that as a kid were so unobtainable to me, and no one from my area ever did and achieved these things. It's like, why not? What next? Do you get what I mean? And that's just been the driving force. Mate, I've been invited to Parliament to talk about fucking education. I didn't even finish fucking school. Do you know how mental that is? When you put your head, you know what I mean? When you wrap your head around it, it's fucking mental. So the burning desire is to push the boundary every single day. Don't intentionally try and upset anyone. Don't intentionally go out your way to be a cunt, because there's too many of them in the world. Sorry for using the C-bomb, Mum.
No, you're all right. You're apologising to your
mum.
mother.
Yeah, nobody else but Mum.
No worries.
And, you know, just try and give the best version of yourself. That's it. And if you can look yourself in the mirror, you've done all right, innit? And now it's like, for me, mate, it's like, just keep learning, just keep figuring it out. Shit's quite funny to think about it. Like, they had this big-headed geezer from Birmingham in Parliament talking about education. There's a billion more people a lot smarter than me. But clearly I talk a little bit of sense every now and again.
Every now and again.
Every now and again.
Okay, well listen, much appreciate your time. Troy, this has really been good actually.
Sound surprised?
No, because I didn't really know, because you're the first footballer I've had on
Yeah.
it, but I know that you have a story, and obviously it weren't too long ago, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, you passed your 10 years of one of the most iconic moments in like English football.
It's nice to have a moment.
How many times do you watch that back? Do you still ever watch that back? I watch that all the time. Whenever it comes up on the feed, I literally just...
Do you know what? It took me a long time to get used to it, mate. But my daughter now, she's going to be 9 in a couple of days, so she'll be 9 when this comes out. She's so, like, into football now that she watches it and she's like, oh, Dad, do you remember this? And she's talking about it, and you watch it with her, and it's like, it's beautiful to have a moment. You know how many people, like, hundreds of thousands of footballers, much better careers than me, much better players than me, all of that. How many people have moments? 10? Do you know what I mean?
A moment.
A moment, like Aguero is a moment.
Michael Thomas.
Do you know what I mean? Like Brian Dean scoring the very first Premier League. They're moments in time. I don't know how many people have moments. So, again, man, grateful to even.
Do you remember it like it was yesterday?
Yeah.
Or is it a blur?
No, remember it all. Wait, I've said it before, I started that year in jail. Didn't have any pre-season. I didn't do anything. And fast forward 7 months after that.
Who's the commentator on that?
Johnny Phillips.
Commentary on that was amazing.
But it just all works well. Like, it's just a good moment, isn't it? But it's a moment. Trying to make new ones in different fields.
Okay, well listen, I'm not going to delve into anything football related for the season, but good luck for pre-season.
Top man.
As well.
Appreciate you.
Okay, Troy, appreciate your time. And yeah, it's been rather very insightful.
I appreciate you.
You
know what? I thought you was going to hammer me for the outfit, because I know how you like to get on people.
I actually quite like it.
It's all right, it works. Does it work?
It actually works, yeah.
Ah, thank you.
You're one of them people who just wear anything. People go, oh, look at him, look at Troy. Troy's pulling that off.
No, trust me, I'm definitely not one of them people.
Right, guys, thank you very much for listening and watching. We'll catch you next week. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and we are out.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,